So, good day everyone. Today I'll be discussing board work problems for enhancement. So, let's start. So, problem number 46. Terrence's office is 12 kilometers from his house. If one day he drove his car to his office at a constant speed rate of 30 kilometers per hour and came back home driving at 20 kilometers per hour, what is the average speed for the entire trip? So for the choices, we will natay letter A 24 kilometers per hour, letter B 25 kilometers per hour, C 27 kilometers per hour, then D 28 kilometers per hour. So now is given since sa question natin given a distance which is from distance from house to office, which is equivalent to 12 kilometers. Then speed going to office, which is 300 at 30 kilometer per hour. Then speed returning home is equivalent to 20 kilometers per hour. So since na natong given, for the solution, we will use the formula average speed is equal to total distance over total time. To get the total distance, we will add 12 kilometers to plus 12 kilometers, it's back and forth man. So it will be equivalent to 24 kilometers. For the time one, we will divide it to get the average speed. So 12 kilometers divided by 30 kilometers per hour, cancel the kilometers since kani siya pag reciprocal na siya r per kilometer na siya. So the answer is 0.4 hours. Then for the time 2, same lang gyapon, 12 kilometer divided by 20 kilometer per hour, reciprocate, cancel kilometer, which is equivalent to 0.6 hours. So to get the total time, we will just add T1 plus T2, which is 0.4 plus 0.6. We will get a total time of 1 hour. Here, balik ka. Since na tayo total distance and total time, we can use this formula. We then substitute na lang na 24 kilometer divided by 1 hour. So the final answer is 24 kilometer per hour, which is our average speed. So for this number, ang final answer is letter A. A. Alright. Next. Number 47. A solid having a constant cross-section in plane perpendicular to its axis. A. Conic. B. Cissoid. C. Prism. D. Ellipse. So for the explanation, A. Conic refers to a surface or section generated by a cone, not a solid with a constant cross-section. B. Cissoid is a plane curve in geometry and not solid. C. Prism. A prism is a solid whose cross-sectional area remains the same when cut by planes perpendicular to its axis. And letter D. Ellipse is a two-dimensional curve, not a three-dimensional solid. So sa explanation palang daan, makita na nato na ang final and correct answer for this number is letter C, prism, since naaman a solid whose cross-sectional area remains the same when cut by planes perpendicular to x-axis. So letter C. Next, number 48. Costs that are difficult to attribute or allocate to a specific output or with activity. A. Indirect cost. B. Direct cost. C. Variable cost. D. Invariable cost. So for the explanation, A. Indirect cost. These are indirect costs because they benefit several activities simultaneously. B. Direct costs can be directly traced to a specific product or activity, such as raw materials and labor. C. Variable costs changes with production volume but may be either direct or indirect. D. Invariable cost, another term for fixed cost. It does not necessarily mean that the cost is difficult to allocate. So, para sa question sa number 48, the correct answer is letter A, indirect cost. Next, number 49. The velocity of propagation of an infinitely small disturbance relative to the fluid ahead is A. Acoustic velocity. B. Velocity of sound. C. Nozzle velocity. D. Interior velocity. For the explanation, letter A. Acoustic velocity. The velocity at which an infinitesimal disturbance propagates through a fluid. So, B. Velocity of sound, physically equivalent to acoustic velocity, but the phrase propagation of an infinitely small disturbance is the textbook definition of acoustic velocity, making it the more precise answer. C. Nozzle velocity refers to the velocity of fluid leaving a nozzle. D. Interior velocity is not a standard term used in fluid mechanics. So, sa explanation ko lang daan na nagkahint na ang letter B na ang phrase propagation of an infinitely small disturbance is a textbook definition of acoustic velocity. So, for this number, the correct answer is letter A, acoustic velocity. The velocity at which an infinite small disturbance propagates through a fluid. Next, number 50. Velocity of sound in an ideal gas is only a function of A. Pressure, B. Temperature, C. Volume, D. Entropy. For the explanation, A. Pressure. Although pressure may change, its effect is cancelled by a corresponding change in density for an ideal gas. Therefore, sound velocity is not solely dependent on pressure. B. Temperature. The velocity of sound in an ideal gas depends on only temperature because the speed of sound is given by A is equal to square root of ratio times R times T. C. Volume. Volume does not directly determine the speed of sound. D. Entropy. Entropy is a thermodynamic property but is not determining factor in the sound speed equation. So for this problem, the correct answer is letter B, temperature. Next. So next, number 51, a machine costs 10,000 pesos and can be depreciated over a period of 4 years, after which its salvage value will be 2,000 pesos. What is the straight line depreciation in year 3? A. 2,000 pesos. B. 2,500 pesos. C. 4,000 pesos. Or D. 6,000 pesos. So, base sa question natin given nga, first cost or FC is equivalent to 10,000. Then next, salvage value, which is equivalent to 2,000 pesos or SV. Then period useful life or period, which is equivalent to 4 years or N. So for this, we will use the solution D is equal to first cost minus salvage value divided by useful life, or FC minus SV over N. Since naatay mga given, we will just substitute. So 10,000 pesos minus 2,000 pesos over 4 years. So for the final answer, we will have 2,000 pesos. Since naatay 2,000 pesos, which is letter A, mo na siya ato ang final answer for number 51. Then that is all. Thank you. Bye.